Hi class, it's Mrs. Perrone, and we are now on page 29 of your Shiny Math book. We're still talking about the previous page where Lisa borrowed money from her friend. So we'll be considering this work that we looked at here to answer the questions on page 29. So what number represents the amount Lisa owes each friend? So if we look back at our work over here, the amount that she owes to each friend is $2. So she owes $2 to each friend. And really, it's actually a negative $2 because when you owe money, it's a negative quantity. So is the amount positive or negative, and why? We will say it's negative because she owes that money and owing money implies a negative quantity because she doesn't really have that money, she has to pay it back. So owing money implies a negative quantity. How many friends does Lisa owe? So if we look at the previous page, she owes $2 to each of 6 friends. So she has 6 friends that she owes that money to. So complete the phrase to show how much she owes. She has, 6 groups of -2. So she has 6 friends, and she owes them each -$2, or $2, but she owes them, so it's -2. So adding 6 groups of -2 is the same as multiplying 6 and -2. So what they're saying is adding 6 groups of -2 is the same as multiplying 6 and -2. And you might understand this if you think about all positive numbers because you're more familiar with those. So 6 groups of 2, 6 groups of positive 2 would be like, there's 1 group of 2, 2 groups of 2, 3 groups of 2, 4 groups of 2, 5 groups of 2, and 6 groups of 2. So that means 6 times 2 for a total of 12. So if you added 6 groups of -2, if we imagine that these little things were negative, you would have 6 groups of -2 and the outcome would be -12. So what number represents Lisa's total debt? Well, that would be -$12. Explain how you can use the rules of multiplying a positive number by a negative number to check that your answer has the correct sign. Well, what I would say is there's this cool little, looks like a tic-tac-toe board that you can use. And it looks something like this. So if you draw that little tic-tac-toe board on your paper, this is going to be a little cheat sheet for you that tells you how to check that your answer has the correct sign. So you're going to put plus signs down the diagonals, and then you're going to put minus signs everywhere else. And so this little tic-tac-toe board represents multiplying 2 numbers in any order. So I'll show you what I mean. If you go across the top, a positive times a negative is a negative. And then this middle row, a negative times a positive is a negative. And then the bottom row, a negative times a negative is a positive. And you guys, it works in any order. So you could go down the rows, negative times negative is positive. Negative times positive is negative, and you could even go diagonally. Negative times positive is negative. So this is a cool little tool that you can use to make sure that your answer has the correct sign. So this problem says explain how you can use the rules. I'm just going to put check the tic-tac-toe cheat sheet, which is that right there. The mystery word for this video is husband. We're going to use what we just learned to solve the problems. Show your work on a separate sheet of paper, or I bet you'll have enough room at the bottom of the page here if you need it. So, -8 times 12. So let's compare that to what we just did, which was 6 groups of -2. I'm going to switch those numbers so that the negative one, so what we just did was 6 times -2, which equals -12. I'm going to switch these two numbers so that the negative number comes first like it does here. Negative 2 times 6, which I know is also negative 12. So really, I'm going to be looking at this one as my guide. When I multiply a negative by a positive, the outcome is negative. So it's like you're multiplying 2 by 6 to get 12, and then turning the answer negative. And that also works with your little tic-tac-toe board, because a negative times a positive is a negative. So for this one, negative 8 times 12, we are doing a negative times a positive, and I know the outcome is going to be negative. So you could grab your calculators, or you could do a little bit of multiplication, do a little bit of longhand multiplication. Maybe it's been a while, but you could pick up your calculator too. So 8 times 2 is 16, 8 times 1 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So 12 times 8 is 96. So negative 8 times 12 is negative 96. And our final word problem. A crack in a water tank leaks 7 gallons of water each hour. After 9 hours, what is the change in the volume of water in the tank due to the leak? Okay, so we have a tank that leaks 7 gallons of water for 9 hours. So when the tank leaks water, it's losing water, which implies a negative amount of water. So we are leaking 7 gallons, so that's negative 7 gallons of water for 9 hours, so times 9. So the result of that would tell us the total amount of water, or the total change in volume of water due to the leak. So negative times a positive, you can go check your little tic-tac-toe board up here. Negative times a positive is negative. And 7 times 9 is 63. So negative 7 times positive 9 is negative 63. And then if you are presented with a word problem, you need to respond in words and include the correct units. So it's not negative $63 or negative 63, feet or anything. We're talking about water. So the question is, what is the change in the volume of the water in the tank due to the leak? So we'll say the change in water is negative 63 gallons, which means that the amount of water in the tank went down by 63 gallons. If you were to put the change in water was 63 gallons, like a positive 63, that would mean that there's now more water in the tank, that you added 63 gallons. So you need to make sure you include the negative to show that you're losing water in the tank. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in class.